What is going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today we're going to talk to you about Healthier Choices Management and the spinoff into HCWC. I want to go over the history, everything that we've gone through, what we know at this stage, what the share price might look like, and everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, let's get right to it. So HCMC has been piggybacking off of the broader optimism as the volume has been picking up. Take that with a grain of salt because 126.4 million shares which were traded on Friday isn't all that much considering the share price. Market cap is 478,000, which I'm going to refer to that a couple times throughout the video. When it comes down to the whole spinoff, it was announced August 22nd, 2022 on how HCMC was going to be doing a 4-point plan to increase shareholder value. So ever since this was announced, share price has just gone straight down. So they haven't really done all that much to increase shareholder value at all. But based on this PR, the 4-point plan is for them to do this: a buyback of up to $5 million of HCMC stock. Fine print, up to. So they don't actually have to do anything. I think a lot of people fell for that. But on a side note, ever since this was announced, I was very skeptical of that because 5 million, they don't have that much money on hand. They need to preserve everything. So by doing a buyback, it didn't make sense. Point two is a buyback of up to $5 million would essentially take them private because their market cap is only 478.27 thousand. So if they do a buyback of up to even 478,000, they're taking HCMC private. So their first point does not make all that much sense. Second one is a spinoff of certain HCMC assets into a new publicly traded company. So that's going to be HCWC. And the assets that they are flipping is going to be the grocery chain, vitamin store, and wellness center. They're going to be leaving the intellectual properties in HCMC, and any lawsuits, so the two ongoing lawsuits that they have, are going to still benefit HCMC investors. But I do have a weird feeling that HCWC will be able to take some of the proceeds, but that's just my random guess. When it comes down to point number 3, they talk on a dividend and how there's going to be a record date, and that's how they're going to determine when and how much of HCWC shares you're going to be receiving. This was the biggest flop ever because they did announce the record date for August of 2023. I think it was either the 26th or the 28th. So that did pass and went through, and then everyone assumed that they were going to be doing a spinoff ASAP sometime, I think in the second half of 2023. But since then, they've kind of not really done much on that. But when it comes down to the record date, they did recently announce on this PR, so September the 12th, that they're going to be having a new record date for the foreseeable future, which I do feel is coming within the next 2 weeks. That's just my own opinion, and I'm going to touch on that in a second. But ultimately, that was one of the biggest flops and fails of any company I've ever seen. And the fact that there hasn't been any lawsuits launched against HCMC as a result of that, I have no idea. But then number 4, equity capital raised from institutional investors to strengthen and fund both HCMC and NewCo moving forward. NewCo obviously is HCWC. This one didn't make sense to me as well from the get-go. Why are they doing a buyback and also equity capital raise? Just doesn't make sense. Especially the equity capital raise is 13.5 million if I remember correctly, which they already did do. They didn't wait. They didn't hesitate. Out of anything, that was the very first thing that they did. So very messed up. And also on a side note, they are going to be doing a second round of dilution, which this one they kind of call is going to be for the spinoff. So this is their spinoff S1. So that's their dilution. And yeah, this does not make sense. And ultimately, I think this does allude to when the actual spinoff is going to be occurring. And that is right here. So ultimately Q1 2024, but they are still on about the New York Stock Exchange. And I'm going to talk all about that and if they do qualify and whatever else. So in the original PR, it does have this stated. So it is anticipated that NewCo will have a initial price or an IPO price of $10, which is all fine and dandy. But based on the news that came out on September the 12th, it goes over how there's going to be Class A and also B shares. And when you have the actual record date, whenever that might be, you're going to be given 80% Class B, 20% Class A. Class B shares are going to be locked for, I think it's a 90-day period, if I remember correctly. But in here, it does say that there's going to be almost about just shy of 2 million shares of HCWC Class A and 7.5 million of Class B shares. And so when it comes down to that, if you take that, the amount of shares that they have, plus their initial IPO price, that gives you a market cap of about 94 million. So how do they intend on raising the market cap of assets that they already do have on HCMC's books, which is valued at roughly about 478,000? How are they planning to spin that into 94 million? So this is where I feel things are going to get very sketchy, because when it comes down to it, I think that there is going to be more substantial dilution that has not been announced that is going to raise money for HCWC on the back of HCMC, if that makes sense. So ultimately, I think there's going to be a lot more sketchiness that does come down the pipeline. Plus, on a side note, a lot of the insiders have been selling completely. So looking here, you do see a ton of Form 4s and also 144s, which does signal that insiders, so the CEO, CFO, have been completely selling out of HCMC. So once again, that is kind of where we are at. Like I said, they are still on about going up to the New York Stock Exchange versus NASDAQ. And these are some of the qualifications. So they do actually have to hit one of these requirements. So when it comes down to right here, going higher, so this is a must. They have to do either one of three of the, I guess, listing requirements or the standards. And then below, obviously, just have to hit one of the things here. So right here, it does say number of shares publicly held. With HCMC, it's just going to be massive. And plus, even the spinoff, it does have more than that. So they hit that check mark. Number of board lot holders, check mark. That's going to happen as well. So HCMC is going to have sufficient amount for both of those. And then it says market value of publicly held shares or securities, and it says 100 million unless IPO, carve out, or spin off. Then it's going to be 40 million. So they do need to have at least 40 million in assets. Like I mentioned, based on everything that we do know, it should be around 94 million. So how they get to that 94 million, anyone's guess, but it does look like they would hit that as a check mark as well. And then obviously they need a share price of at least $4 plus. Technically, based on these, HCMC does qualify. The only sketchy part from here is you need to hit one of these. So either earnings, valuation / cash flow, valuation / revenue, affiliated companies. So it goes over a lot of pricing here. And this is where I feel like they don't necessarily qualify all that much, because it does say aggregate pre-tax income for the last 3 years minimum. So it goes over lots of different amounts. I don't feel that HCMC does qualify based on this, because it especially does say all of the 3 years plus must be positive. So I don't feel, and I've said this since the beginning, so a lot of people can look back at my HCMC videos and quote me on it, because I do not feel that they qualify for the New York Stock Exchange. I've been really monitoring any submissions for IPO, and HCMC has not done jack all. So there's no intention right now of that spinoff. Like I said, based on their last earnings, it does signal this multiple different times. So March 1st, 2024, that is when the spinoff money is going to be concluded. And so I guess the preferred Class A shares. So ultimately, what is coming next after everything that I said? So I do feel that they're going to be issuing a record date in the next couple of weeks, most likely in the form of a letter to shareholders for right before the Christmas season. So probably at the tail end of December, they're going to be doing a letter to shareholders saying that we've had a successful year, blah, 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 and all that other crap. But they're going to give a record date or allude to a record date coming fairly soon. Because if they are going to be using March 1st, 2024 as the spin-off date, they have to give at least 60 days notice to investors. Especially considering they have to buy, sell, to adjust. Previously, the ratio was, I think it was 71,000 HCMC shares equals 1 share of HCWC, on which we later found out that 1 HCWC share is going to be split into both Class A and B. So aside from that though, so I feel like in the next couple of weeks, we are going to have some more updates to talk on for the spinoff, when that might happen, and ultimately, how do you feel they're going to get to a 94 million market cap by them currently having a, like I said, 478,000 market cap under HCMC, which technically has all the assets that is going to be spun off. So something doesn't make sense to me, unless they're going to be diluting more, leaving HCMC with the debt and putting all the cash on HCWC. Who knows? As far as this news that did come out on August 2022, like, I don't think they actually ever had a intention to increase shareholder value. I think that this was just so they don't get considered a meme stock, because a lot of people did get into HCMC because of the whole Philip Morris lawsuit. And like, since then, it's gone nothing but down. You can look at the stock price. It's been very, very crappy and dismal. In fact, Philip Morris even said that this was just a pump and dump, nothing more, nothing less. And so ultimately, one way to rid themselves of the pump and dump status and crappy name associated to HCMC, spin it off to HCWC. And so once again, management has already jumped ship from HCMC. They're just, I don't know, we're just stuck in limbo right now. Let me know your thoughts on this spin-off. Do you think it's beneficial? And like I said, how are they planning on getting the market cap to tenfold? Actually, more than that. Like, it just doesn't make sense. There are so many just sketchy things happening with this company. And I have kind of alluded to a lot of random red flags that have popped up over the last several videos. But still, we're just stuck in limbo. So let me know your thoughts on HCMC. Do you want the spinoff? Do you believe in the company? What's your viewpoint? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. One final thing I just wanted to share with you. Take advantage of this promo with Moomoo. It is only up until December the 31st, 2023. Sign up for an account with Moomoo, throw $100 at it, and you get 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. So this is one of the best deals on the market. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, I appreciate all of you watching.